Just
Do it for the pod. Save it for the pod. Do it for the pod. Save it for the pod.
Do it for the pod. Do it for the pod. Where are you, Chevy?
I am in good old Utah, Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake
Ooh,
City.
I love
for Mountain
my
DAO.
neck of the woods.
Are you gonna
Mountain
get?
Dew.
Are you gonna rip
No.
out there?
No, I
no
sled.
shredding.
I sled. I'll rip it with the sled.
I'm down to go sledding.
100%.
Are you visiting the Mormon Tabernacle? Like what?
That's
what's
actually
going
why
on?
I came. Yes. It's exactly why I came. I'm
Are you
converting. When I was abroad, there was some sort of connection that I had to come chase here in
Right.
Utah.
You're in Zion,
Yeah. Well,
the Holy Land.
It is what it is.
Is Zion actually the Holy Land?
If you're Mormon, Zion, Utah, is Zion.
Wow. I've gone to Zion, to the desert, and camped out there when I lived in Colorado and seen some things.
Zion
spiritually
National
speaking,
Park.
so.
Zion National Park's a beautiful place.
Let's
God's
wind it back. Let's wind it back. Coop, save that one for the pod. What did you see?
Let's just say that when I was going to school in Colorado, it was a very common trip to go out to the desert with your friends, bring some stuff to help enjoy the experience, enhance the experience. And, I liked looking at the stars, and I saw some beautiful things out there in the world.
Can confirm he likes looking at the stars. On the way back from base camp, he pulled the car over so that we could go look. I don't remember where we were. We were in the middle of somewhere in
Idlewild.
And Idlewild. And the stars were pretty sick. I think we saw a couple shooting stars.
We did.
We did see a lot of shooting stars.
It was pretty sick.
However,
So can confirm Coop likes looking at the stars.
Sounds like a pretty
back, Coop, because I also went to the same school that you did, and I never went on this desert trip, quote unquote. So I'm not really sure what sort of extracurricular activities you were into.
We were running in different crews out there, Lucas.
Yeah,
until
we
me
were.
and you joined forces at the CU Blockchain Club. There was
Right.
very different
Thank
upbringings at the time.
God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
What do you have against going to look at the stars in the desert, man? Huh?
Look, man, I only like doing it in Idlewild, California with my good friend Cooper, and only as long as David is there as well. We were missing Agent Chevy.
We were missing Agent Chevy.
Yeah.
Really.
I forgot where I was,
a
but I
whole
was
But
in
I'm
the
bummed
there.
because I'm missing out on the next trip. So I'm not a fan of that.
Where's the next trip?
Oh, you know where the next trip is.
Oh, I know that trip.
You know that
Dang.
trip.
It's gonna be a good trip.
Dang.
Guys,
That's okay.
all
Yeah,
jokes
but-
aside, I'm in Utah for Mountain DAO. Came to see what the Soul devs are working on, and to be in the pulse, as they say. Have you guys heard
In
of
the
Mountain
pulse or
DAO?
on the
I think they
pulse?
call it. I think they
No.
call it the trench.
I'm in the pulse this time. Usually I'm on the pulse, but this time I decided to go in it.
You're directly
inside.
inside of the
Directly.
pulse.
I
Inside of
feel
the
it.
He's an
Yes,
IV.
You are.
I'm an
you are the
IV.
pulse.
Yes, I am the pulse.
He's degen chaining in the pulse.
Well,
What are you
100%.
finding out there in the pulse?
Yeah,
The
what's
only
in the
thing I'm
pulse, Chevy?
finding is that all the ETH use cases, but on Sol. Just
Wow.
Shocker.
Crazy.
Just imagine that. Close your eyes, and I want you to picture the ETH DeFi summer, the degenerate ERC20 era, but
Chevy
now
is like a Japanese
on Sol.
soldier, bro. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Like,
Now
he's like,
on Sol.
he's like, holy shit, there's apps on Sol. Things are happening over
Right.
here. It's February of 2025. It's like,
I was
guys,
like, you know,
Solana's a cool chain.
Dude,
I'll tell you what.
We all know Adam has been stuck on degen chain.
He's
for
still on
months now.
degen.
He
Hasn't
bridged
been
off.
able to bridge out.
I'm still trying to get funds. Still trying to get my goat off degen chain. I'll tell you
Yeah.
this much: the core motivation for coming to Mountain DAO was to see what is happening on Solana outside of meme coins, and to learn more about the culture, because frankly, I'm pretty new to it, and I want to see how I can bring Blueprint to Solana and learn more about the token ecosystems and who's giving out grants and how is capital fundraised, and just like be in the know and talk to the people out there that have been doing it and have been more active in Solana than I have. And it's crypto university, as they say, Cal State Crypto University. That's what this trip is.
But
Um,
judging
is there a
by
big-
your
Solana community in Salt Lake.
No, but this entire month, people came in from all over the world, There's a huge co-working space. It's actually really cool. They have lunch, they have like drinks, like really good internet. They set up desks and monitors for everyone. I feel at home there, you know. Kind of fun in the pulse, as they say, you know.
He's in the
What do you get?
pulse.
Sandwich? You got your crust cut off on your sandwiches?
We got
Oh, you got your
sandwiches,
PB&Js?
we got
You know
coffee.
what? I don't know why we're laughing. I was sold as he was talking about this. I was literally thinking in
He
my
was sold.
head. I was sold. I was like, should I get on a flight? It's an 1.5-hour flight from LA to Utah. I was like, should I go check out the scene?
I could drive over.
That's the scene. Now you guys are in the energy. Soon
Now we're
you'll
on
be
the
in the pulse. No,
Yo, what are we talking about?
soon you'll
We're
be
just
in it.
around the pulse right now.
Anyways,
But I
so that's
guess
Utah.
Adam,
Yes.
let's bring it in here.
All right.
All
Go
you
on.
said, your main takeaway so far is that effectively it's just a bunch of Ethereum applications getting rebuilt on Solana right now.
Yes, and devs are excited because all the firepower is on Solana, liquidity is on Solana, retail's on Solana, and they want to build for users. But also, the way people talk about their projects feels very short term, and like they like I'm being told certain problems that they want to solve, and it just so happens that they just want to launch a token because of it. But I question like why do certain projects need tokens? And I asked them why not launch this on EVM. I asked that to a few devs so far on the projects that they're working on. They're like, well, there's no liquidity. Like all of retail, all the action is on Sol. So we're gonna build for the users because that's where they are. And honestly, I shut up after that. I'm like, I really get that. Like, I really wholeheartedly believe that and understand that. I think though, they feel to me it feels very short term. The way they're talking about their projects and trying to bring a token to market really quickly. And everyone, it's really fun though because everyone's talking about everything that they've lost, everything that they made, the bags that they've gotten, takers that they're trading actively. So I'm just a sponge, you know. Think of me as like a dry sponge in a puddle of water, absorbing all the goodness
In
that's
Zion.
emerging in Zion.
In God's country.
Yes,
In the pulse.
in the pulse.
I have two comments there. One, I find it interesting that you're saying they, as if you don't also belong in the same class of builders, which I would consider you to be, regardless of the chain that you're building on. And
okay.
Go ahead. You can respond to that first one if you
I was going to say, I just don't feel like I'm active on Solana. So when I say they, it feels like two different societies, right? It feels like I've discovered new land. That's what it feels like, you know? And I'm learning from the locals. That's what it feels like. So when I say they, that's what it is. Okay. Number two
is I really love this energy that you're bringing because you're back on U.S. soil. And I feel like the last couple episodes you've been having to record at like 2 a.m. your time. So I just want to say welcome back to God's country.
Thank you very much.
And
welcome
I
back
like
to
the energy.
We're back in America. That's where we are.
God bless.
God bless.
I think to your credit, though, you know, I am way more active trading on Solana than on EVM, Base, etc. the last couple months. But I will say in terms of like the day-to-day usage of apps, I definitely use more like Ethereum apps than Sol apps. And I definitely try out a good amount of the Solana apps, but I can't say that I'm like an active returning user on them. So it was interesting to think about like what some of those more breakout use cases are going to be for like Solana consumer apps. You know, I think that Clout was a good example of like a mobile app that launched recently. Obviously, Yapster and some of these other ones. I tried out Tribe for a bit. That was not fun. But I still think that we're kind of, to your point, Adam, almost like just kind of running the same experiments, just with a new coat of paint. This time you buy the token in Sol instead of in ETH. But that being said, it does feel like the push to more like mobile first experiences, I'd say would be like my classification of what I would describe as like these Solana applications where you're basically downloading the app in the app store to start, which I think is a step forward from a lot of the mobile apps in ETH, which were just PWAs. Like you would basically add the home screen. And I think now we're kind of moving to, you got to download a mobile app and you start this from the mobile app, you know, Vector being another example of this, instead of it being like a PWA type experience.
I have a question here of what has changed on the App Store front that has allowed so many crypto projects to start launching full applications? Because I know that was like a big blocker before, in the sense of like you couldn't facilitate any transactions without Apple taking their take rate. Yeah, do you know like what's changed? Is Apple getting more relaxed? Or people just like okay with Apple's cut on this? Or yeah, what's the current synopsis?
I have a theory. Does somebody else have a theory before I say my theory?
Before a theory, like a fact, I don't think there are facts out there before we speculate on theories.
Well, none of us have an app in the App Store, so it's all hearsay.
I don't know.
As far as I'm
All I
concerned.
know from what I've heard that the way they submit their apps and what they reveal for the people who review the apps versus what happens when you connect your wallet, it's two different experiences from what I see and from what I've learned. Is that your theory, David?
My theory is that they're effectively saying like, hey, we made this app, it does X, Y, and Z, but on the back end, everything's happening on pump.fun or another dApp. And then effectively it's not happening on their app. So then Apple isn't entitled to that money, even though their app is basically like a front end bridge to things that are happening somewhere else. And then
What's an example?
That's the loophole.
Moonshot.
Moonshot is definitely earning
Clout.
fees, though, right?
Right, but they're making their fees not in the app technically. Right? Technically,
I don't know.
The fees are happening on Pump Fun, or where are they making the fees? Technically the fees, right. Yeah, technically
but it is from the front end.
That's what I'm saying, is that there is revenue accruing to the Moonshot company through the application on the App Store. Mm-hmm. So like I don't know if I fully buy that, but we're just speculating here, and it's just an interesting shift to me, is that you just see a lot more crypto apps launching fully in the App Store versus like Test Flight or PWAs or anything like that. So
W's all around.
Well, maybe something that I'll kind of share that's adjacent to that, and bear with me for a second because I know we're going slightly off the agenda, not too far off the agenda, but I do want to share this because it's on the back of conversation I had earlier today. Hester Pierce with some new literature about her being, the head of the SEC. So let me go ahead and share this in the chat here so we can pull it up. Maybe I can just pull it up on my side if that's
she's gonna be the queen.
She is the queen.
We have a queen in office. We love that.
Yeah, she's the head of she's the chairman.
She's a new Gary?
That's my understanding. Or commissioner, I guess.
Wait, yeah, I don't know if she's officially the new...
Wait, when she was a child.
Gary.
When I was a child, my family took an annual road trip from Ohio to Maine and back.
All right, well, we're not going to read word for word here, but basically my summary of this was that she put out like a framework a couple years back about like safe harboring tokens in the US. And this got published on February 4th, so 2 days ago. And it was basically just saying like, hey, the task force wants to start defining security statuses for tokens, like how you launch a token offerings, registered offerings, how you run an exchange, crypto lending and whatnot. And then sort of this request for written submissions to basically say like, hey, if you feel like you would like more guidance on how to launch your token in the US, or if you feel like you have not been able to get guidance, like tell us why, and schedule these in-person meetings. And so one thing that I'm really pushing for is all of us being founders based in the US, I would like to be amongst some of the first teams that are really pushing for like US based token launches and sort of like helping to engage in this process to be a part of that. So I thought this was really interesting. I'm noticing internally that there's like a shift between in the past when you launch a token, you would go set up this Caymans Foundation and all this kind of crazy shit. And I'm saying that still is the current status, but at least on my end, I feel like there's a light now to being able to actually launch tokens in the US. And I think that it's pretty encouraging. And I think that it dovetails nicely in with the topic around like crypto mobile apps and people building apps that are doing crypto things here in the US. So I feel like it's pretty promising, but curious here if you guys have also shared that sentiment or not.
Hester is on the right side of history. She always has been. She's a queen. Mm-hmm. Shout out Hester if you're listening, which I doubt you are, but if you are, we love you. Yeah, we love you, Hester.
A wild timeline.
Yeah, that'd be a wild timeline. Every season, every episode, she tunes in to NAC.
She's in the pulse for sure.
She's in the pulse. She is like the definition of being in the pulse, without a doubt.
She is the pulse.
She is the pulse. I don't have any comments. I haven't read it, and I'll probably chat GPT it later, to get up to speed. But I like that. That's a good energy. It's a good foot forward. Schedule time, get on a call, learn what haven't you gotten help with, what are you missing, listening to your users. I like it.
Coop, let's say you have a call tomorrow. What's your stance? Like what are you trying to get over the line with Hester, Commissioner Hester here?
I would be like, I want to launch a token as a founder based in the US. Please help me understand how to best do that. Here's my outline for what I would like it to do. What do you think? Yes or no? And how do I go about doing this in a way that's compliant?
So she's
But then,
a lawyer.
yeah. So, but what about paying your lawyer 100K? That's no
The
fun.
lawyer's just interpreting random stuff Hester says. Let's go to the source, baby.
Literally.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that
I
we've
think
almost deferred the responsibility of the token offshores for a very long time as teams that are based in the US. And I think at some point that's got to change. And I think with this shift to more of like an app layer focus, I actually think that there's like an opportunity to have some really cool stuff happen here. And so at least on my end, I'm just like, yo, let's be one of the first movers in trying to figure out what that looks like.
I have a
No-
question
no
that
taxes on American-made coins, baby. Let's go.
it's happening. I have a
Hypothetically.
question for the group. I feel like we're also seeing a shift away, even though Adam said what he just said about being at the in the Solana convention.
Mhm.
But I do think there's a shift to building actual apps that accrue revenue, even if that revenue is coming from launching 1,000 tokens that are connected to the app, like Clout, and away from every person and team that's in crypto thinking they need to personally launch their own token. Like
Mhm.
Pump Fun, Clout, Yapster, none of those products technically need to launch their own token, and they can be extremely successful. And I think we're going to see a lot more Phantom. I think we're going to see a lot more products like that, and I actually think that's encouraging for the space. I think it's a net positive.
I think it's a net positive in terms of the industry being reputable, but I think as someone who's like a crypto native token first person, it is a little bit, I don't want to use the word discouraging, but it would be unfortunate if like all of these companies launched and made a ton of money and then they just kind of kept them in these like for-profit closed businesses and there was no ownership
I don't
there
think
with the
Pump
users.
Fun's coming out with a token. I think they're
Yeah,
taking
I
their
agree.
500 mil to the bank.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. But I don't
It
love that
is-
outcome. That's the same as OpenSea from
Right.
last cycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is just such an interesting like incentive game or like game
Yeah.
theory of what's going on of like you become so big that like the fees and the volume and the revenue that you're generating ends up just being a deterrent for launching a token because effectively through that token launch there is some
Yep.
sort of basic expectation that you're going to give up that revenue and give it to token
Yep.
holders or the DAO treasury or anything like that. And there's a kind of like a weird like threshold in which you almost want to be launching a token. Like if you don't have a lot of revenue and you need to bootstrap or you need this steroid for growth, a token becomes a lot more viable versus if you're printing 100, 500, $1 billion a year in revenue, why the hell would you want a token? It's
Right.
what OpenSea did. They were just like, no, we don't need it. And then you get,
Yeah.
pitchforks and torches and from the community. I don't know.
Well, is that like a good segue? And tell me if this is not a good segue. I think it is. But we have on the agenda here like Farcaster heating up and some of these acquisitions and Coinbase Wallet and whatnot. And I think that's kind of in line with these companies that are not like full force token first businesses, but kind of doing it in more of like the traditional acquisition, product first, revenue generating, daily active users, metrics type stuff. Do we want to start a transition into the Farcaster topic for a little bit here?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Farcaster has kind of caught the bid this week in a sense of there's just been a lot of activity or a lot of happenings going on within the ecosystem. So I think the big first announcement is that Farcaster or Merkle Manufacturers, I think is the company name, acquired Supercast, which was like an alternative to Warpcast. I think that there's maybe some takes of like this felt anti-competitive from some people, but as a whole, I think that this was probably net beneficial for Farcaster as an ecosystem. Supercast had a lot of features like scheduling and multi-user accounts or like multi-account login features that were super beneficial and a lot of people liked it. But I guess I'm curious what you guys think right now of this acquisition of Farcaster acquiring Supercast, their almost like main competitor, I guess, on the application layer.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's
I
so
really liked
smart.
it.
Yeah, it's great.
I think
Thumbs
it's
up.
definitely bullish for sure. I think that there is a lot of stuff that Super was doing on being like very token forward in terms of being able to like claim your degen allocations and claim your Moxie allocations and having a wallet built in directly to the client. That the way that I started to use Supercast was that it was a more token-oriented version of Farcaster, which I've always felt is the biggest thing missing from Warpcast. And so, I don't know, I feel like Woj has been a very big proponent of this for a while, and it just kind of brings some much-needed energy back into the fold. I think the larger question is like, is this a big enough domino to make people who are not currently on Farcaster care about it? Which is a whole nother topic. But I think in a vacuum, this is definitely a net positive for Warpcast as a whole.
The thing that I picked up from this is that he's going to be responsible for driving daily active users, which historically is something that Dan has increasingly obsessed over. And I find it interesting just from a founder's perspective that Dan is now kind of outsourcing that or delegating that responsibility rather to somebody else and making that their core mission, at least the way he describes it. So it makes me think, actually, what does Dan do now? And also, who's running that Twitter? The Farcaster Twitter. It's pretty good.
I don't know.
They
wouldn't tell me.
It's getting a lot better.
It's really good.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Feels Gen Z. Feels funny. I like it. But that was my takeaway. That was like the biggest thing that stood out to me. Dan always obsessed and always preached the gospel of daily active users. Daily active users. We need to make DAO Q or QDAO, whatever, QDAO go up. And that was the first thing that stood out to me. Regardless, I think it's such a win for Farcaster and for the Merkle team. You want people who are obsessed with what you're doing and understand it from the in and out. And I'm excited to see how he wins internally. I'm excited to see how Merkle wins. So that's good. Also on the Web3 social front, I mean, I guess like together also Lens announced a Lens chain. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did see that.
Yeah.
And I want to know more. Can someone tell the group more?
I don't know. I tried finding more. I didn't really get to know exactly what that means or what's going on, but tangential to the Warpcast Acquihire Merkle team Acquihire. Yeah. That's my take. How do you guys feel about it?
I'm not educated enough to know. I saw that they changed their handle on Twitter though, which I thought was cool. I thought that it honestly was a little weird, to be honest with you, at LC instead of just like at Lens, but you got to just respect the constant push and progress there. And I think at some point it's going to crack. I just don't know exactly what that looks like, but I definitely applaud them for moving forward and trying to build permissionless building blocks and whatnot. So I guess the way that I look at Lens these days is like, I actually view it more through the proxy of like the family wallet and whether or not the family wallet's being adopted and used by people more so than like, is the chain being built on top of? Because I guess on my end, like going back to our last combo around like mobile apps and whatnot, I think that the search for user acquisition happens mobile first. And when I think about the way in which Lens reaches the world through a mobile perspective, it probably happens through the family wallet. And so that's kind of my biggest area of focus from like the Lens ecosystem is just like the adoption of the family wallet as a whole.
That's also tangential to Coinbase announcing they're doubling down on Farcaster. So that's really that's a good insight, Coop, of like how family wants to use Lens. I guess the way you just explained it. Pretty good insight. And that happened in the same week too, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like
I think
not a coincidence, a coincidence.
Through line.
Yeah,
I think the bigger through line, I kind of mentioned this last week, Adam, you weren't on the episode, but really it's like wallets are really starting to own the distribution. And a lot more and more of the like interactions, the end user interactions are happening natively in the wallet in the sense of like, even when I'm on using Rainbow on Ethereum, like I swap almost natively on Rainbow, I bridge natively on Rainbow. It's the same thing with Phantom when you're on Solana. And I just expect that the applications right now, it's very DeFi focus of like swap and bridge. I expect there to be more applications and more kind of integrations that allow you to interact with different applications natively in these wallets, and they really own the end user distribution. And I think Coinbase is really well positioned with obviously like the Coinbase exchange and whatnot to double down on that. But I just feel like this is a bigger trend as a whole.
I have a question related to that. Phantom, we all still think of it as like a Solana wallet.
I don't.
Okay. Well, maybe that's gonna like they have base. They have base. They've had base integration for a couple months now.
And Sui.
And Sui. I didn't know about Sui. But why don't we? I would have thought Phantom integrating base would have led to a lot more base volume. And people
I only do base transactions on Phantom for like the last couple months.
You have been doing.
Like, Yeah, I don't use MetaMask or Rainbow or anything like that. It's just Phantom for everything now.
I think everything's going to go in that direction. And I have found it really easy if I want to do something between Sol and Base to just have everything in Phantom.
Yep.
Have you tried Sui?
I have
I got
not.
some Sui bags.
You got some Sui?
Yeah,
Sui?
it's actually pretty clean from like an onboarding perspective. Like you just sign up with an email and then it just logs you in. You have a wallet and everything. But I use using like whatever their native wallet is. Let me see what this thing's called here. It just says Sui in the top left. I think it's like a Sui wallet. But when Phantom integrated that, I thought that was pretty bullish. People are saying that Sui is just going to go down, but it is not Phantom. That's correct.
I've not.
But I guess the biggest thing just to close the loop on here is that the announcement that we have highlighted here from Base, if you scroll up a little bit, Lucas, is that Base and Coinbase Wallet are like officially joining forces and sort of coming together under one roof. And I think that that was very, very much needed. I still don't know what that looks like in principle, but I always felt that there was way too much separation between Base and the Coinbase Wallet product, like who owned what, were they the same thing? Like you had like this non-custodial wallet in Coinbase Wallet, but then you had the smart wallet that got introduced. And so from a high level, I think that this was very powerful. This whole acquisition of Rome was a very interesting kind of like part to throw in here. You had Base acquiring Rome and Spindle and Station and one other one that I'm forgetting, but like all these acquisitions basically with, to tie it all together, this key through line of going viral on chain. Now, Lucas and Adam, if I remember correctly, there was an episode published on Pods a few months back called "Going Viral on Chain." Do you remember anything about that, Chevy?
Let me wind back that memory for a second. Oh, would you look at that? How many mints? 21,600. Seems as if that one went viral on chain. Pretty good.
So
a mint 18 minutes ago. It's still ripping.
My biggest
Lucas,
takeaway.
How about you go ahead and mint one live? Show the people how pods work.
Yeah, just go ahead and mint one.
Look at that.
Look at that. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. My biggest takeaway from the definition of going viral on chain, and I talked to Jesse a bit about this, is that I think that, Adam, when it comes to you and I thinking about what it means to go viral on chain, I feel like we're very much focused around like unique number of mints and driving virality through campaigns, using questing platforms, basically just like optimizing for monetization in a very roundabout way. And I know that the end state is obviously trying to reach as many people as possible. But I think the difference here is that, tangibly speaking, when it comes to going viral on chain, I think that we've learned that the best way to do so is by putting ad spend behind content. And I think when I look at the way that Coinbase is positioning themselves, or Base, I should say, about going viral on chain, they fundamentally believe that you can go viral on chain through these social tools, which is like building a frame V2, leveraging the social feed on Farcaster, leveraging like the on-chain content network that, Coinbase Wallet has been building out. And I guess I'd love to hear your perspective. Do you think that those things are as necessary to going viral on chain or have as much impact as it currently does with ad spend? Or how do you view those two different ways of going viral on chain?
Nothing that you mentioned moves the needle like a layer 3 campaign. That's just the reality of it. At one point, Base had really great distribution and a lot of attention on its wallet product, and it still does, and it's still a great product. We actively use it in collaboration for Blueprint Cohort 2 to bring more distribution to the mints, like drive more organic mints versus the incentivized ones. And it's great. The more, the merrier. But the thing that actually moves the needle are the incentivized mints, which is great too, because it just further hones the fact that we need incentives, and to go viral on chain, you require a more crypto native way to do that, using tokens as the backbone to stimulate that activity. And it also brings up a conversation of like, why are people doing what they're doing? It's because you're incentivizing them to basically do so. Even with Coinbase, the thing that got a lot of people going crazy is that they would get points, and people speculated on the fact that they'd get points, and some things had 500 points, some things had 1,000 points, something were in the banner and had featured, or limited or whatever. So they were still using incentives, but the legal way or the non-speculative way. Well, actually, no, it was incredibly speculative, but there was no token in that regard. I think this is why I'm excited about their acquisition of Spindle. They've been teasing the fact that they're like building a social product in their feed. And I think Jesse just like cast it or something like this. This came from Coinbase Wallet, and I think with their acquisition of Spindle, they're just going to tie in the distribution with the attribution that Spindle had, and they're going to try to build a layer 3 competitor. That's what my gut tells me, but natively in their apps, and they're going to try to build a social experience natively in Coinbase Wallet to get people posting, creating content, and doing all that stuff while managing their funds. And then because Warpcast won't do it just yet, and because they're going to own the distribution and the attention on the interface, they're going to start integrating ads in some way, shape, or form in the feed. That's going to be different from the Warpcast or Supercast experience. That's what my hunch tells me. But
you think actual paid ads that direct someone to mint something in Warpcast?
I think it builds on their model of like referral rewards, right? Those were inherently like affiliate. That's like a form of advertising, like affiliate marketing, right? And all the referral rewards that they earn from wallet.coinbase.com, that's like V1 of their on-chain product. And I think it's just about to be even more. It's about to go like a few layers deeper. They're about to be in the pulse even further.
They're gonna be in the pulse.
They're gonna be in the
Can I
pulse.
share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Who's sharing currently? Okay, cool. I just wanted to share the recap from the first season of this Coinbase points agenda, mania, whatever you want to call it. By the points leaderboard update here. Top 500 got some USDC. I still don't know what this amount was. I'm trying to figure out what you got if you're in the top 500 of getting points through the Coinbase Wallet experience, but 630K players, 800K mints, pretty good. You had some top leaders here, but I think to Adam's point, I did notice a very significant change in the amount of mints you would get when they did have points associated with them versus without. And I think that it goes to the same notion that minting on chain is still largely driven by incentives. And I think that what I see from Base over the long term is I'll actually take the other side of that, Chevy. I don't know if they're going to build a layer 3 competitor, quote unquote, is this on-chain content network. And I think that for them, the way that they're viewing it is like, how do we get more publishers to actually visualize and display this content and this stuff that is in the registry to real people? And so if you view Farcaster as like a publisher of content, Farcaster isn't like layer 3. Like you don't pay to get your content published on Farcaster to get viewed by people. It just has a large repository of accounts that are like possibly going to see and interact with your content. And so the way that I see Base's approach is like, layer 3 is going to continue to own like paid ads, which is basically just like, if you want to mint something for $2, you pay someone $1. I think Base's approach to virality is basically through impressions. And like, okay, if Farcaster's way of getting impressions and this new Coinbase wallet is way of getting impressions, like where else do you go to get people to like see that you can collect a song or a podcast or a piece of content for Blueprint that doesn't actually require incentive spend, but it is like getting in front of people in a feed that would allow them to collect it because they see that their friends are doing it too.
Totally. That's going to be a part of it. But their biggest moneymaker, and it's why they acquired Spindle, because Spindle, before they got acquired by Base, they released a product competitive to Boost and competitive to Layer 3. But they use Collabland's Discord distribution as a way to get people to collect or to do their on-chain actions in exchange for an incentive. All that Layer 3 does, beyond being an aggregator of all these different things to do on-chain, is they distribute tokens. That's what they do very well. And they built a great demand side to do that. And Coinbase is making Base and Coinbase Wallet are rather banking on the fact of their demand side and the hundreds of thousands to millions of users that they have downloaded the application to be a core driver of that. So I definitely think there's the content distribution network, like definitely like baked into that. But the thing that's going to bring in the most amount of money, which in hindsight is what brought Google the most amount of money, and a lot of these tech companies, is the ad revenue that came from the attention that they have on their platforms. And attention is just monetized like much differently in crypto with tokens as the backbone of that, and encouraging and incentivizing people to do certain actions. So I think by acquiring Spindle, they acqui-hired or acquired, who knows what really happened, but they definitely took over the product stack, at the very minimum the attribution side of things. And for sure, there's going to be some incentivized action play in the future, for sure.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I'd add is like I really am happy or like want to commend Coinbase here for explicitly saying that their goal in 2025 is to help content go viral on chain and creators to go viral on chain. And I think all of us are, whether or not it succeeds, I think I respect that mission, and I'm happy that, we're aligned on that, going into
100%.
this year. I would push back at him just a little bit of like, you talked about, needing the token to kind of drive this virality or that incentive. And, I think taking a step back, it's more of just a question of like, why collect? And I think a token incentive is a very Stone Age answer or like technology for why collect. It's like, oh, you collect this piece of content, you earn a token. Very simple, very straightforward. What I'm excited about is how can we bake in these kind of incentives in a more less, I guess, explicit way where you're just giving out tokens in return for minters. I think like one high level example is like how Rodeo does it right now, and they do this 24-hour open edition, and then after that, it's like they're really pushing people on the secondary activity, and you're kind of getting that same through line first principle of like, what's the incentive for me to collect this? And it might 5x or 10x or 20x, overnight after when you're on Rodeo, right? And I think that's just a big through line to figure out is like, well, why do people want to collect this stuff? Is there a more efficient mechanism than just handing out tokens? And yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot to unpack there, and the why collect stuff is very primitive right now, I think, from my perspective.
I think something to keep in mind is the adoption cycle of crypto and crypto products, and V1 or V0, whatever you want to title it, of users got the sugar of the Uniswap airdrop, and those users are still very active in crypto. I think only recently we're seeing a new wave of people join crypto for the first time in a very, very, very long time through Solana and the meme coin era that are experiencing crypto in a different light, and maybe they're not as aware of the Uniswap airdrop era that a lot of these farmers have been banking on the last few years. And maybe this is going to shift the way people use crypto and interact with crypto. But what's for sure that these types of users have in common is they're all profit seeking, right? That's still very
Correct.
true and very core to why they're doing what they're doing on chain. So then the mechanism that kind of like stimulates incentive and that gets people to do something, it may be for a 10x, 100x opportunity. So you ape into meme coin. It may be for earning an incentive that might go up, or might earmark your participation in something in the future. Whatever the behavior is, it's still a profit-seeking behavior. And I think that's staying true regardless of the way you try to wrap and spin up or gamify the incentive play. So that's my take, and I think it's going to be very true with how Coinbase does what it does. And I think another reason why I'm very firm on that comment and my argument is because now we're seeing Jesse be a little bit more degenerate on Twitter and using words like tokens and dropping contract addresses, and basically the things that people criticize him for, he's being very he's basically now walking the talk, right? Or talking the walk, whatever the phrase is in the pulse. You guys love my phrases.
You got it right the first time.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, long story short, Jesse's embracing the energy that Solana has because he's realizing that's just what's hot. And I think that's going to be that energy that he's communicating, spoken like a true leader, is going to be shown in their products. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
David, do you have anything you want to add here? I feel like I've been speaking a lot on my side. I want to give you some shine.
I think I don't have anything that hasn't been said. I think you guys have ripped it here.
I just want to double down on the profit-seeking motivation, Adam. And I think one team that's called this out very succinctly has been Layer 3. And I know that before you were saying wanted to give a shout out to, Coinbase for their tagline on going viral on chain, but I also want to give a shout out to Layer 3 because they've just been shipping at an amazing pace the last couple weeks or months and just vocalizing why they're shipping the things that they are shipping in a very clear way. And I think it's been really fascinating for me to see the engagement from their top users on the timeline of saying like, oh, I'm a level 80 on Layer 3 and I keep clicking, and I'm clicking because they view it as a job. I think that's the biggest thing that changed and clicked for me recently that Adam, you highlighted a couple episodes back, is that I actually don't think these people are doing it as like airdrop farming first is the motivation. I think the goal is like, how do I make a living on chain? And to them, if they're doing these actions and earning these rewards, if they can live and survive off the money that they're making on chain, and then the airdrops can be the bonus icing on the cake, it actually starts to like unlock this brand new class of users on chain where they're not trying to make a living by trading and speculating and doing degenerate shitcoining. They're actually trying to make a living by task completion and more of these more, product oriented missions and focuses. And so, yeah, I just want to give Layer 3 a shout out here. I'm not sure, Lucas, if you want to call out anything about the BNB chain integration specifically here, but I think they've been doing a great job and it's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, I think for the most part, this is really just a testament to how fast they're shipping. I know they shipped like AI agents or like an agentic product last week, and yeah, I think we're all scratching our head of like how the fuck do they ship this fast, coming from 4 founders that are trying to ship as fast as possible. So yeah, I just want to commend like Brandon and that whole team for how quickly they ship and the product they built, because it's legitimate. And
Great
I
team, good
definitely
money.
agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with that like notion of how can my users start making a living, or what's the percentage of my users, of like platform users, that can actually earn a living on the platform. Like for pods, we see that pretty clearly with the creators. Maybe it's not a full living, but they're starting to creep in there. A handful of I'm not going to name any names, but I know a handful of creators on the platform that have done exceptionally well, earning a significant income.
I know
And
some of
I
which are in
know,
the room with
I know
us
a
right
couple.
now.
maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to see how we can start expanding that outwards to not only like more creators, but also on the collector side. So like, how can we start incentivizing or rewarding or getting collectors to earn a living on the
Hmm.
platform, as a whole?
We're
And I
employing
just got
our
crazy
users.
deja vu. It
Yeah.
was weird.
Did you? What
It's
was it?
good.
I don't know. It's just that whole shebang
Ugh,
right there.
that happens often. I love
Devin,
it.
what are you gonna add in there?
I was gonna ask if anybody's used L3 Intel. I'm gonna test it out tomorrow, but my understanding is that you can give an agent a spend and they can optimize it for you towards an asset, which is pretty huge. I'm gonna try it today or tomorrow and see if that's the case. But
When you say an asset, you mean a reward? Like you can say like go complete all the tasks for me that earned me OP, or like
I mean,
Like
yeah, I can say my understanding is you can say, hey, I want to set up a quest where people collect the NAC pods NFT, and I'm going to put 5,000 OP as incentives for this, and it'll set everything up for you and optimize it.
sick.
like this, I
What?
feel like it was
Wait.
like
I haven't
I
tried
want
it
to.
yet, but
Yeah,
I want to try it, and I think it's pretty cool.
yeah. I'm really interested in trying this as well. But I think like this in this example, it's looking at like agent prompting the agent being like, I want to get as many users to Inc as possible,
Yes.
and then it goes out and it sets up this quest, and here's the allocation that we'll give out. Um, yeah, I don't
Really
know.
quick.
I haven't tried it yet, but it's really cool.
I've played around with
Saves
it a
time.
bit in the builder. It just feels like a natural language query engine for building a quest versus
Hmm.
needing to use other modules. That's my biggest takeaway. I don't really need to use it for Blueprint. I don't know what the agent plugin, like plugging in an agent to do the actions, and I don't know what that means. Really quick, there's a really interesting mental model here. Just kind of riffing on the whole like idea of employing your users and giving them a way to earn and make a living on chain. If you think about it in that regard, like if layer 3 is really focused on a work to earn, or like a work, I don't know if you know what the
Click
phrase
to
is.
earn.
What's it? What did you say?
Click to earn.
Click to earn, click to
I'll give
work, or just like basically
click to
helping people
Click to
work,
make a
live.
living. Yeah,
Click to live.
click to eat.
They're really
Click-
going on this keep clicking thing, and I like it.
I like it
it's
too.
a good meme. It's a really good meme. But it makes you think that if that's the model that ends up performing really well, which seems to be the case, then I guess bring it back to creators and the pool that I'm swimming in is that creators need to figure out a way to employ their audience. Like that's the thing that I'm like thinking about now. It's like, how do you build a way to help? So when we talk about the meta of like helping your audience earn with you or grow with you, and you have like skin in the game, this is maybe the mental framework and a great example of how that works in practice, and putting together different campaigns, activities, quests, whatever you want to call them, to engage with your audience and giving them a way to work, basically, and employing them to work using incentives and tokens as the backbone for that. Really interesting mental model, and really shifts the way. I don't know. I feel very inspired right now. Like it's a very, very like eye-opening kind of perspective.
It seems like, to bring it back to one of our themes from last week, creator coins or creator tokens have a big tie-in here with
Yes.
this click to earn. I don't know what it looks like yet, but it seems like this is all connected. Like if you can have a creator token that's sustainable, if you can be rewarding your fans in that creator token, not just for collecting your content, but also fulfilling actions that help you gain more virality, not just on chain, but also on Web2 platforms, there's whoever figures that out is going to be very successful. I don't
But
think
how,
anyone.
Well, this
I was
is
gonna
like
s-
Brian's whole thing right now is
yeah.
rev share tokens, and basically just
Right.
this idea that creator tokens are meant to basically just be profit sharing agreements with a creator and their collectors for the content that they put on chain.
My thing with that, and why I think it's going to be a hard sell, is creators don't make as much money as people think that they do, unless they're massive, unless they're like Alex Cooper, Joe Rogan level of huge. And I don't think those payouts are as big as people think they are. Cooper, like we've seen people try to do this on the music side, and they find out like what happens when a song gets 10 million streams or 20 million streams, which sounds like a lot, and then that gets split up between 500 to 1,000 people, plus the creator needs some. Like those numbers don't end up adding up. So I'm curious. I'd love to see it work. Maybe as we're entering this crypto phase where new users don't expect as massive payouts and having more modest payouts is acceptable to them, this can
That one
work.
kind of
But I
popped off.
think, what's that?
That tweet kind of popped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only shade
Yeah.
I'll throw is Brian talks a lot about launching tokens. I'm waiting for that token.
Dude, I called him out on the same thing this week. I was like, when boost token? Like, what's going on? Let's make it happen. Give us a playbook, Brian. We want
At
to
this
see
point,
it.
at this point, as a founder of a project that is going through the same process, I have no emphasis on like when token for other founders because it's just such a when the time's right. You know what I mean? It's like me saying to launch a token's not gonna do anything. It's a vibe. It's literally just a vibe thing. You just gotta know when the energy's right. And if the energy's not right, telling a founder to launch a token is almost like suicide to them. So at this point, I'm just like, I trust that every founder knows when they think they should launch their token based on how the vibe of their company feels in the market. That's all
I
I
feel
think
like
it comes down to.
I feel like once we can make ERC20s as mentally effortless as NFTs, then
They are.
they're not. No, they're not,
Yeah,
because
I
when
think
you
they are.
no, they're not, because when you publish NFTs, you just like consistently publish them. You don't even think twice, right? You create your content, you put out these tokens, people collect them. But when you're trying to launch a token for your project, you only have one shot, one opportunity. Mom spaghetti. Like it's either you got it or you don't. It's either you're winning or you're not. And
Have you heard of
flops,
Pump Fund, Adam?
if it flops, you're screwed. But even if you start promoting a pump fund, Coop, and you put your name behind a pump fund and it does well for a minute and then it drops, people are going to be coming after you with pitchforks. They're not going to be doing that with your NFTs. They're just not.
Depends on
Debatable.
the cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would push back, and I think it's not necessarily the ability or like the friction around launching the token. It's really the stress and baggage that comes with maintaining a token and having a liquid secondary market with people that have vested interest or unvested interest. And look, you've just seen like a lot of tokens go to zero, and that kills the project. It's not necessarily the project going to zero. And yeah, I think that that's a scary thing for founders is to, put yourself out there and put your project out there in the public markets that, can or cannot be received very well or may not kill your business at the end of the day. I don't know. And I don't think that changes at all, ever. Like, I just think it's maybe with rev share and more like, clear, transparent economics, it becomes less volatile in that sense. But yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
I hate to say it, but it's true. And it, tokenize everything. Like tokens are becoming like stocks. Like they're penny stocks, and they're going to be stocks that like give dividends, like rev share tokens, and some are going to go to zero, some are going to be really successful, and the main difference is that there's infinitely less friction with tokens, and it's a global 24/7 audience.
I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, really quick, what I'm trying to say, the point here was that action produces information. And the insights that I learned over the last few years creating content and publishing it on chain from the Mint podcast, it took a bunch of time before figuring out this other model that allowed me to grow an audience on pods. And that's because I just approached publishing content and minting NFTs very effortlessly. It was a thing that, okay, I'm going to A/B test this, I'm going to A/B test that. I can't do that the way I want to and as comfortably as I'd like to with an ERC20. Like I would love to just launch ERC20s and test some of the ideas that I have, and then eventually come out with one that's like the one and keep doubling down on that strategy like I am with the Mint podcast right now. And I feel like I can't do that the way I need to on the ERC20 side of things. That's my takeaway here. That was my point.
Well, I think that's why you're at Mtn DAO. No, all jokes aside.
I guess, but it was more out of, yeah, sure. I'll give it to you to carry on the conversation. Yeah. I cut you off. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'm going to use this opportunity to do a little self-promotion here. And I would say I've been running some experiments the last couple weeks. None more poignant than the Coop Records voting round, which went live this week. And I'm going to squeeze it in here because I know we're coming up on time. But I want to pull this up because I've actually been pleasantly surprised by the outcome here. So just for reference, basically this week we went live with our first round of voting on which token gets deployed next on CoopRex.fun. We've had 4,000 unique voters, which is actually a lot more than I thought we were going to have.
Nice job.
And Zed's Dead and Levity head-to-head race out here. 10% of the supply of the winning token gets airdropped to the collectors of the songs on CoopRecords.xyz. Now, do I think this is going to be perfect when we launch a token on Friday? Absolutely not. But do I think that we're going to learn a little bit more about what motivates people to want to vote on different song tokens, what gets them excited to hold it, ways to do airdrops retroactively back to collectors and whatnot? I think that there's a lot of stuff to be learned here. And at least on my end, I think the biggest insight for me has been we all, at least me and Lucas, I don't want to speak for Adam and David, we all came up during like the governance era of DeFi summer, which is basically voting on proposals and treasury allocations and budgets and whatnot. I'm having a fun time thinking about how do you like take governance and actually make it like fun and exciting and actionable. Where like this vote specifically, it lasted for 1 week. And at the end of it, you're going to get an airdrop if you collected the winning song. And it kind of takes us to this point where now we're like launching tokens, but we're not just like aimlessly launching something that we just pull out of the air. It's like now we're actually asking the community, like, what do you guys want to see? I think that there's a lot of education that's required there, but it feels like a big step forward. And I could go down a much deeper rabbit hole here. It's been extremely difficult to explain a song token to all of the artists and the label partners we work with, more than explaining to them a collectible that you can buy and get a download of the song. And so I think it's challenging me to really think about like Coop Records and how we're building this product for real music fans, because while crypto people love the super volatile ERC20 token, billion supply, etc., it does not make any sense to someone who's not currently in crypto. And I think there's still like a huge learning curve that's going to need to happen for people to feel comfortable with this idea of like buying content as a token instead of as a collectible, which is kind of where we are at in the market that exists today.
Yeah, I think I would agree with Adam there of like launching an NFT feels a lot more approachable from the like more mainstream, less crypto native people. Just because the meme coin, like it just has so much baggage and the secondary market can immediately nuke on you. And then you have a million people in the replies being like, what the fuck, you just rugged us. I mean, look at the Hawk to a girl, whether or not you like think that was like a genuine attempt or not, but like it just backfired completely. And now she's pretty much completely off the grid, like off the radar, which I think is interesting.
I think it goes to say that you need to have like this is the role I'm literally playing with Group Records. You need to have like a liaison. You need to have someone who's like deeply, deeply entrenched in the space on a day-to-day basis, because you can't just launch the coin and walk away. I think that's what we've seen go wrong with a lot of these creators that have launched tokens, is that they expect to just be able to launch it and then it just exists because they have some clout or they have some popularity. And I think now what I'm starting to notice is going back into the rev share token side of things, going back into the questing side of things, it's an always on funnel. And if you take your foot off the gas and you stop giving energy, volume, and attention to your token, it will peter out and die, because that's just the way these things work. But if you are very intentional about putting resources into your token on a daily basis, you can make some cool things happen. I think that's what we're all going for here.
But I would argue that it's the same thing with a mint. You know, it's no different.
David?
I think it's a little different. I think especially with the kind of mints that we've been doing, the expectation is not as profit seeking, especially because they're so low cost. Obviously, if we're talking about like a 2021, 2022 PFP project, or like launching a new PFP project, I think it's very different. But with a token, there's an immediate expectation of profit and for that token to continue to go up. And I still think there is some part of everybody's brain that buys an NFT, especially the people that actually like to buy NFTs, whether it was for like $1 or $250, whatever it is, where you're like, oh, this looks kind of cool. It's in my wallet now. And you don't get that with the token, which is why we have so much more like PvP in the token game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the other thing with NFTs is like the secondary activity is one piece, but you never know like what you're actually going to get with that NFT at the end of the day. And I think at least the applications or what people end up doing with an NFT social graph seems to be a lot more engaging than like an ERC20's social graph, I guess. So you kind of always have that like expectation or like speculative reward that you're not actually sure what this might get you in the future, but you're going to do it anyways. Whereas I think the ERC20 is very much more straightforward of like, this is going to go up. I'm buying this because it goes up. And yeah, less on the utility, like more fun kind of patronage side.
That's another thing at Mtn DAO. When we tell people we're building Blueprint, we're helping creators launch NFTs, like everybody laughs at us. It's just funny. It's really
what do they laugh about?
They're just like there is no like NFTs don't have a pulse on Solana. It's like why are you still in the old era?
Yeah,
you know?
What do you say to them? That's how I feel, for what it's worth.
We're making money. That's what I tell them. And there's a model here that works. How much money has your business made this month? And then I laugh at them. No, I'm joking. And then I tell them, all jokes aside, I think there's a happy medium between both formats. That part of my curiosity is coming here and understanding what you guys are working on to bring back to the table at Blueprint.
I've had a similar sentiment, Chevy. It's happened in the Hume headquarters a couple times where we'll be having a meeting and somebody will like bring up a project and someone who just like launched a token, and I'll say, how much did those people actually make off their token? This, like, how much did they personally actually make? And then I'll like be like, look at what we did this past month. This is how much money we made. I know what that number is. I know that there's a sustainable path here. And I also believe, that there can be a Hume token built into all that in the future. But I'm like, we're sustainably doing something. 99% of these things that you're showing me, we legitimately have no idea how much the founder or people behind this actually made.
Can I share an anecdote from Kuprex?
I was going to ask you for it. Thank you.
4 ETH in swap fees off of the 2 song tokens that we've launched so far. Split 50-50 between creators and Kuprex Treasury. So 2 ETH to Kuprex Treasury, 2 ETH to creators. 2 tokens, about roughly, let's say 3 to 4 mil worth of volume collectively. 4 ETH worth of profit.
How do you feel about that?
I think that I see why the swap model has become so valuable as a business foundation. I mean, you looked at Vector and they said that they made more in swap fees than every NFT marketplace combined off the back of their meme coin swaps. And it makes perfect sense. I think that the way to get there is to lean extremely, extremely heavily into speculation. And I think where I kind of hit a roadblock is recognizing that if I double down on speculation for music tokens, it's going to lead to a very different path that I don't necessarily know if I'm like in love with. And so the analogy I've been using is that like meme coins are like cocaine, like literal cocaine. They're like super fast paced, high energy, like they're little drugs. And I think what I'm looking to build is like Coca-Cola, where like there's a little bit of cocaine in there to start out, and then you sort of legalize it over time. You turn it into sugar, you mass produce it. People love it. They're not actually on cocaine, but they get, that high from the sugar. That's like where I'm trying to land in the future with what we're doing.
I don't know what you were doing on those trips down in the desert, Coop, but we had a different experience.
Not doing cocaine, I'll tell you that much.
All right, the Adin Ross live stream.
Yeah, last topic here. Last topic here. Closing agendas.
Yeah, let's go. Let's close out with the Adin Ross live stream.
Hey.
So earlier this week, Adin Ross, popular streamer, hosted a live stream with none other than, I believe it was Thread Guy, Frank. B Gods, and some other randos.
Banks was there,
Not
right?
other randos. What are you talking about, randos?
The guy,
Banks was there.
man.
Banks is like the most legit of everyone.
Yeah.
That's
All right, that was
room.
I wasn't including Banks on that one, but there was like
And
two
Orangey,
other
Orangey
guys.
has like 280K followers.
Okay,
And then Malcolm,
all right,
who's like coordinator amongst all the Probably Nothing crew. And my boy Cross made an appearance in the background and manages Banks' portfolio.
why don't you take it
Pretty
away,
good.
Coop? Let's hear what you got to say about this Adin Ross live stream, because I just fumbled it right there. So
I thought it was a great moment. Honestly, I thought that it was like worlds colliding. You know, for those who have been aware of Thread Guy streams, I'd say that they have been the most entertaining form of crypto content that's emerged over the last couple of months. Adin Ross, massive platform, 80K live viewers concurrently throughout the whole stream. And they were just talking open book about crypto. And I think it was really interesting just seeing the chat basically spamming Solana addresses to try and get free Sol the whole time, combined with everyone being like, crypto's a scam. So just the most polarizing two worlds you could possibly imagine, just 100% rapidly going into it. And then the intention of the stream was basically just giving Adin his first 100K in Sol, because he holds $10 million just only in ETH right now, like 100% of his position in ETH. And they're trying to get him to convert his ETH portfolio into something more diversified. And that was the basis of the stream. So he like swapped in MLG, and then everyone dumped on him, which was hilarious. Like MLG was up like 100%, he buys it, and then it just dumps and he loses like 12 grand in 2 minutes type beat. And then the rest of the chat was basically like, you know, ETH's dead. His first tweet was like, fuck Ethereum, which I thought was really funny. And them just saying that ETH sucks on the whole stream, and then like talking about rebalancing into Bitcoin 70%, some hype, some Sol, some other stuff. It was extremely entertaining, and I think that it was definitely one of the more novel forms of content I've seen come out of like mainstream crypto. Obviously, there's a lot of room to go there, but I thought that it was very, very entertaining.
He's good. He's good, man. He's good. Very entertaining.
Did any of you guys watch it? David, did you watch it?
I saw
it.
I saw a bit
the
of it.
stream.
I
also saw an interesting clip of Banks with his team after, and they were all giving him shit for only talking about crypto the last 2 weeks.
The streamers.
Yeah,
that
the streamers.
So
yeah.
Like Ronaldo roasting him, being like, "Buy MLG."
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. But I'm finding that Thread Guy's stream and a lot of the live streaming with crypto right now is a very good indicator of where the market is currently at, but not a great indicator of where it's going. So it's actually, for people coming into crypto for the first time, is becoming a better way, at least a lot of the streams, and especially recently, like unfortunately a better way to like come in and lose money, because it's so on the pulse, Adam, and not like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the pulse. And I think if they can find a way of shifting that, which they're more than capable of, I think it'd be interesting. But it's also like not their brand. Like the reason why it's getting so much attention is because they're able to talk about like what's current and what's happening and what's popping.
Making $1 million trade.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what people want, though.
Dude,
that's what people want to watch. Yeah.
It was so crazy to me how like upfront they were being about like the money they've made and like what they're holding and all that stuff. And like the more crypto native people like Thread Guy and like Frank were definitely shying away from like saying actual numbers, but like they were just dropping like, oh yeah, I got 10 mil, 20, you know, like, oh, made 2 mil off Trump. I was like, what are you guys doing? Which feels so like just not
that's
crypto
the energy
to
that
be
brings,
just dropping
that's attention, though.
numbers.
That's what brings.
I agree.
That's what brings.
I thought that was the most compelling part of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want to know that. You know what I mean?
Because like crime season, baby.
Well, it's crime season. Also, this is the video game that people are playing now. You know, is like you look at KOL scan, and that's what they pulled up on the stream, which I actually check like pretty much daily now. And they're just like, yo, like who's the best at like trading in the trend? Like it's a video game. They're playing a video game 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's just clicking. It's what we said about keep clicking on layer 3, except if you're just clicking into the slot table, the slot machine, or into like, you know, the blackjack table, instead of clicking into like.
It's layer 3 is Coca-Cola. This is cocaine, Coop.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, actually. I actually agree with that.
I think my issue is like on the broader side of things, it just feels so PvP right now in this cycle of like it's zero sum. you're either very few people are making all of the money and everyone else is losing it.
It always has been
And
though, man. It was just
no,
dropped
but like
last time.
DeFi summer and like
What
the
are we talking
NFT
about,
bull
Luna?
run.
Like,
No, but that was very different. That was like collectively everyone got fucked on Luna. But like so many people were making it on Bored Apes and Yearn and like all these early DeFi projects where people weren't getting just absolutely wrecked. And like, yeah, if you went down the risk curve, it was definitely more PvP. But
bro, I think you're only thinking about the people who are in our circle that sold their Bored Apes to people at the top. You think whoever I sold my Bored Ape to at 100 ETH was fucking making it with us? I got fucking hosed. And also, it's not a lot of people. It's fucking 10,000 Bored Apes. It's 10,000 people
I think the stats would back up Lucas's argument that more people made money off NFTs than people are making money this cycle with meme coins. And I also think the energy on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck we're calling it, also shows that. Like Bitcoin's at 96, Solana's up way more than it was a year ago. And most people are so bearish, and it seems like have like blown up their. I was talking to somebody this morning who had like round tripped mid 6 figures in the last month because they're kind of like only trading meme coins. I think the other problem here is like people aren't holding as many majors as they used to. When people were trading NFTs during the 21 cycle, like there was this like accumulate ETH kind of narrative. So if you did accumulate ETH and you did sell some ETH, like you still ended up doing pretty well. If you're only trading meme coins and you're not putting any of it into Solana or BTC, like that's tough. That's a tough.
Well, then you're an idiot, is what I would say, because the entire point of
like,
crypto is to stack the majors. And I feel like everyone is vocal about that, but people just don't listen. And also, think about our first cycle in crypto. Did you fucking stack a bunch of Bitcoin or ETH from your first cycle in crypto? No, you got hosed. You round tripped the entire fucking cycle. I round tripped. Me and Lucas were broke.
I round tripped my ETH.
Yeah, we got hosed. And I think that's, for better or worse, still where we're at with crypto, where you get hosed for the first cycle. You go up a lot, you lose a lot, you learn, and then if you stick around, next cycle is when you do some damage.
But if you buy stable coins like ETH, you're just nice and steady, you know?
No, you're just down, is what you are. You're not steady.
You're down.
You're down. You're not steady.
Wait, who was the one who was really, Eric Trump, who was saying that was the bullish, that's our bull posting now, that I was roasting in the chat.
Was that
me,
you? And you took me out of context, all right? And even right now,
I was bearish in the chat on ETH the last week or two, for sure.
Coop has been the biggest bear in the chat.
And yet I'm still building on base. Say what you want about me. Say that I'm bearish on ETH, which I am, but I'm still on base, baby.
Yeah, you can't be bearish on ETH.
Here.
You can't.
I can, and
I can
play
be
a long term.
But I'm starting to realize that I could have bought like gold or the S&P 500 and be
or a house
than anything else,
or a house. Yeah, like anything.
Or USDC.
Housing
or
is
USDC.
a little bit more variable though. But yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Do we even want to embark in this last topic of the powered by ETH branding?
No.
I think we save it.
No,
we save it.
It doesn't. It's not worth the attention. So
let me get this straight. I'm bearish on ETH. I give you guys an opportunity to talk about positive news for Ethereum and the narrative around it. And you defer.
No, it is not positive news. That's just like, look what we did in Canva.
Yeah. It was like Anthony Sassano being like, look at all this branding that I've done, which I think for him it was like very community forward, and like he wasn't like.
I thought you were talking about the Ethereum account being more active, but maybe I'm mistaken with the topic.
That's bullish. Bullish is a strong word, but it's a positive. It's a
step. It's a step in the right direction.
I just think
starting to promote Uniswap, also them starting to promote projects on Ethereum. That's a W. I think Hayden tweeted like that was the first time the Ethereum account ever mentioned the word Uniswap. I think that's pretty cool.
Who's following the Ethereum account? You know what I mean? Like who's I'm into crypto. Let me follow at Ethereum.
I had a friend who has a good take on this. He's in Ethereum's defense. And his argument is that we don't know what kind of investigations the ETH Foundation was under. They were obviously under some type of investigations. And that is why they were super, super cautious. And now that Trump is in power...
They were super cautious for the past decade? Like, what are we talking about?
I think the last 5 years. 4 years.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm not a proponent of this argument. I'm putting it to the group. This
You
was an
should
argument I was
phone in your
told.
friend. I
was being Cooper in this context, and I was just being super bearish ETH and trashing it.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
To a close.
It's cool
friend.
to be bearish ETH. That's what I'll say. You can't deny that. It's cool within crypto to be bearish ETH.
Cool. But we're all here holding a bunch of ETH and building on it.
I'll tell
I
you,
got more soul than ETH these days. I'll tell you that much.
My biggest holdings right now are ETH and Layer 3. Those are my biggest holdings right now.
That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Man
got some
Man
soul,
puts his money where his mouth is.
Got some soul, got some BTC as well, obviously. But biggest bag, ETH and L3.
What about Goat?
Goat
On
sold that one at the top. Sold that one at the top. That was a W.
Nice.
I just think it's been like, all jokes aside, it's been really interesting to watch like the loudest personalities of this cycle be so actively anti-ETH and be so pro Solana. And I think that if we talk about live stream and we talk about consumer apps, mobile apps, etc., it's been really weird. I imagine this is exactly how Bitcoin people felt about Ethereum when Ethereum first started popping off, where they're like, fuck this new kid on the block. Like, it doesn't stand by our morals. It's so much different, blah, blah, blah. That's how it feels to be someone that was like ETH heavy 2021 to like now still building on ETH 2025 when Solana is like really taking the crown right now.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating.
It's the same.
Who's talking to the mainstream about ETH? Like, who's going on live streams and talking to the kids about ETH? No one.
Eric Trump.
No. But I do think it is the same like thing that's happening of like, oh, Solana's just a casino, right? Like Ethereum was getting that when it was all ICOs, all NFTs. It's just a casino. There's nothing actually valuable being built there. And now Solana's kind of getting that same pushback. Yeah, I've definitely come full circle or like come around to Solana. I think portfolio allocation wise, still like underweight a little bit, but I hold a meaningful amount. And I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to be trying to align with the TikTokers and the streamers right now on crypto. Like that's my piece.
I don't know. I think that's like
it just feels top signal-y.
It is
like buying Soul right now when all the live streamers and TikTokers are shilling Soul just feels wrong.
But that's how we grow.
VanEck just came out. Yeah. VanEck's price target for end of 25, I believe, is $520 Soul.
I'll take it.
That's not a live streamer. So
what was their price target for ETH? Serious question. Did they have one?
The tweet was all about Soul. I don't know what their price target is.
VanEck is like gone for like 10 to 30K ETH or something crazy by 2030. So who knows?
The amount of TradFi firms over the last few cycles that have gone on CNN, Fox, CNBC, put out their price targets, tried to look like the big guys in the room. I honestly try to ignore all that stuff
100%
because it means nothing. And I think the creators, Lucas, to your point, I think the Adin Ross is a top signal, but I think it's a positive top signal because with every cycle, we have a bunch of new people that come in, a bunch of people that leave. But when you look at the pool at the end of the day, we grew. Like we got a bunch of more people in the space, and that's a W. And that happens every single up cycle and down cycle. I think that's a great place to wrap up. We're all going higher.
We're all going higher.
We're all going higher.
We're all going higher.
Aiden's not the top signal. That's what I'll say.
It's a start of a top signal. Of course it is. Joe Rogan talking about, should I launch the Rogan podcast coin on his podcast is 100% a top signal.
Here's my thing is that I just don't think we're anywhere near this cycle because Bitcoin dominance is still going up and it's at an all-time high. And historically, that's just never true during a full-blown blow-off.
History changes.
That's true. That is also true. But
shut the hell up.
The chance we haven't in theory or like in practice, we have not had an actual alt season, right? Because Bitcoin dominance.
Are you happy with this being the top, David and Adam? Huh? You guys want to call this the top?
I actually think we're just entering a new paradigm, and there's
you brought the P word.
Paradigm.
I got
paradigm.
We're entering a new paradigm. The new paradigm is BTC and some of the majors are almost in a league of their own. There's like a $3 trillion market cap now, and altcoins, meme coins, company coins are also going to slowly be in their own little leagues with their own sets of volatility and creator.
Here's what I'll say. Someone asked me recently, they're putting 35K into crypto for the first time, how I'd recommend breaking it down. This is the breakdown that I gave. 35% Bitcoin, 35% Sol, 10% hype, 10% ETH, and then 10% altcoins. And what I said for those specific altcoins are MLG and AI16Z.
Sounds like something that they said on the stream.
Got the AI
no?
play in there. I
You
like
want to
it.
hear?
Isn't that
my
wait? Is that the pie
recommendation?
chart that was on the stream?
No, theirs was different allocations and weights.
I had a
Go ahead,
friend that
Lucas.
texted me what he should be putting into. I said 50% Bitcoin, 30% ETH, 20% Sol, which is maybe the hot take. But
I think if you're, I don't know, I put Sol and ETH even allocation, or maybe a little more Sol if you're trying to get the right return. I think that's where we're at.
yeah, I think if we were last year this time and Sol hadn't run up 10x, maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Sol's running.
Look,
Guys,
when everyone's going left, you turn right. All right.
You've been going turning
Everyone's-
right for you're pretty
I know,
far down
I
the
know,
right
I'm good.
right-hand
You've
road.
been
At
on
a
a
certain point, you
U-turn,
gotta
my
ask if you're
friend.
lost.
Let me cope. All right. Let me cope.
You've been
Coop.
driving in.
wait,
coming up.
Lucas.
It's right here. It's on the right.
There was a pod.
Look at
Find
everyone
all-time
going
high.
left.
We did a pod. It was one of our first pods, and you gave us the historical breakdown. And I believe ETH. When is ETH supposed to pump? Aren't we supposed to have our ETH pump soon?
Usually,
I think about now.
no.
That's
Usually-
why Ansem's so funny. It's just like, you guys really wanted ETH to pump. Now you're gonna get punished every time it goes up by like 2%.
yeah.
It's now. We're pumping now.
Historically, Bitcoin or ETH hits all-time highs within 3 months of like Bitcoin reaching an all-time high. But
So
that
yeah,
was
we're super
just
close.
we gotta
we're
pray
super
for
close.
this month and next
It's
month.
totally
That's
happening
our-
next month, guys.
We're,
happening.
no,
That
we're,
ETH
we're-
chart looks really bullish, guys. It's definitely gonna happen really soon.
we're cooked. We're 100% cooked.
ETH on 4% on the day, 17% on the week.
I'm
Guys, as much as I'm having
2600.
fun trashing ETH, I think it's time for the NAC boys to close it on out.
Yes.
Okay, let me just share one thing before we go, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
we can end this podcast. That's a chart that I'm buying right there.
Stop, dude.
It
You're
honestly, you know what? When you do the max chart, it really doesn't look that bad. You know, if you
No,
took
yeah,
that in
let's-
isolation,
This looks like it's going straight up.
it looks like that's trending up. Yeah, technically.
Dude,
You
you know
want
what
to see
I
a good
can't,
looking chart?
you know what I can't unsee now? Remember that meme when the Trump coin launched and the chart looked like his face, like the outline of his face? Now every time I see a chart, I try to tilt my head and kind of imagine, what do I see here?
To see what it is.
What do you see?
Boys,
David's got to go. He's got a big
David's
meeting.
got to go.
He's got
David's gotta go.
sharp. He said sharp.
I
Great.
think
Well,
I got
thanks for
so.
tuning into NAC. See you next time.
See you next time.
That
on
was your
NAC.
outro? That was
That's
so
it.
that was so pointed.
That's it.
Fired on the outros.
That's it.
Make sure to collect this episode on pods.xyz.
Yes.
Welcoming back
Pods.xyz.
Chevy to the
Holy
States.
shit. You're fired, dude. We're not pods.xyz, did you?
Wait, what is it?
That's my new competitor to pods.media.
Pods.media.
Fuck you.
Jeez. Send traffic
If
to
you're still listening to this, feel free to collect this episode at pods.media/Not A Cartel. All episodes are on chain on pods. And maybe one day we'll give out some rewards. But judging by these guys, they're not in a rush. Maybe you'll get some ETH when it goes to zero.
You're good at pointing fingers. Where's the pods token, Lucas? Huh?
I
Pods token. Huh? All right. Save it for the next episode. Thanks,
Where's
guys.
my lawyer?
Amazing.